Hi everyone. So what I'm going to do today is review and rank every single book I read this year. It'll be new books that I've read this year, not rereads, because I just want to, if we sit here talking about the Hunger Games, we'll be here forever. I've divided all the books I've read into 5 categories, sort of like a tier ranking. And on the bottom is Wish I Was Jared 19 from this very iconic Vine.
What up? I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to read.
And so it's just the concept is that these books make me feel like I wish I didn't know how to read. The next year is Koi Tumse Pyar Kyun Karega from Bookie Baba.
कोई आपसे प्यार क्यों करेगा?
Love him. This is me talking to the books like Koi Tumse Pyar Kyun Karega. You were horrible. The next category is very demure, very mindful.
Very demure, very mindful.
Everything in this category is like, yeah, it's demure, it's mindful, it's very meh. It's not amazing. It's okay. The next category, which is so the top two categories are the top tiers. I really enjoy these books, would read again, all of that. Second from the top is Taylor Swift praying at the Chiefs game. Iconic. This is how this book makes me feel. This clip of Taylor Swift, this shot, exactly shot for shot, this is how I feel about these books. And the last one is Enchanted Fireworks. That is how these books make me feel. These are the cream of the cream, my favorite, love them. We're gonna start from the bottom. So we're gonna start with Wish I Was Jared. The first book here is very controversial because it's not a book I finished. I don't think I've ever not finished a book that I've started reading or something because the lack of closure in my mind is very, very annoying. I'm a fan. This is a very litfic contemporary book written by Sheena Patel. I don't even want to think about it. I have seen this book explained in so many booktubers videos and they love it so much and they've explained it 5 different ways that it's a story about obsession and crazy and maniac and cancel culture, and it's not a book that's obsessed with being timeless. It's very current, very painful memes, and I've heard people rave about it, love it, but I don't get it. Maybe I'm dumb, whatever it is, I just don't get it. I could not sit through this book because this woman was so annoying, and I don't mind complex characters. I don't think this is a specific book that I enjoy reading. I had to physically make myself read this book, and it's 150 pages, and I finish 150 pages in an hour. So for me to not dislike this book so much that I just could not finish it up, read it past page 75 or something. Congratulations to this book for being the first book that I did not finish. The next book is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Very TikTok, Instagram, booktuber, bookstagram book. Enemies to lovers trope. So annoying. I don't think I need to explain the concept of this book post the fact that it was enemies to lovers. That's the best explanation there is for this book. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean it in a trope is all you need to understand what this book is about. I hated the characters, I hated the setting, I hated the miscommunication. I just did not have a good time. It was a pain to finish it, and I think towards the end of the book, I was just reading it so I could finish it. The next book is Hannah Tate Beyond Repair is a story about Hannah who feels she is beyond repair. I did not enjoy this book. Hannah is very whiny and not in a way that makes you want her to have a character development. The antagonist character, which was the guy that leaves her, Killian, is the only character who goes through any sort of character development and the only one I enjoyed reading. The rest of it was torture. There was a big daddy charade in this, which no, I'm very hateful. But the thing is, I finished these books, so how bad can they be? I say that, but I finish every book except for I'm a fan, so you can understand how much I didn't like that book. And the reason I don't have physical copies of this book, I have very few physical copies. I don't mind e-reading. It's not that much big of a deal to me. I only buy physical copies of the books that I adore or buy on airports. The next book in this is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I cannot do another take of that. This is the fourth book in the Bridgerton series. It's the story of Penelope and Colin, and I like the TV show, so I read the book, and now I regret everything. I hate them. I hate this book. I hate the premise of this book is very different from what it is, and the implied book is a lot better than the actual book. I find it really sad that I like Colin and Penelope in every other book than their own. This was torture. And I actually have a physical copy of this last book, which is called The Off Limits Rule. I really wanted to enjoy this book. This is by Sarah Adams. I really like this cover. It's very pretty. I really wanted to like this book. I like the summary written in the back. I like the cover. Actually, I have a few graphic design gripes with this. Why do you have black font against this dark purple? This purple is a dark color. Use white. It the readability would okay, whatever. You had a lighter purple. Why didn't you just use that? This is so hard to read. But I like this. I like this part. The illustration is cute. The premise was fun. The character's annoying. The main character reads like a child. Like it feels like I'm reading a story about a child where the main character is a child. I don't want to read a romance that has a child in it. I'm so disappointed. I ah. Next category, कोई तुमसे प्यार क्यों करेगा? So at the bottom of this tier is Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I don't hate this book. I don't. But I cannot justify placing it higher. It's a good palate cleanser if you want to read a mindless romance. If you want execution, this is not the book for you. The premise is interesting because it's about a girl who ghostwrites a story about a teenage movie star. So kind of very Dylan O'Brien in Teen Wolf. So it's interesting. I like the parts where they talk about, the whole teenage star thing, but anything else in this book was not interesting. The romance was not interesting. Next is When He Was Wicked. This is the sixth book in the series by Julia Quinn again. This is Francesca's story. I love Francesca. She is the best. I absolutely adore her in the books. I had a great time. I think the only reason I like this book more than Mr. Bridgerton is because I like Francesca. And I don't like Michael, and I'm glad he's not in the show. Very happy. Great decision. The next book is The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. I found this through Instagram again, and I don't know, the premise is interesting. I think that's where it ends. The child is annoying in this, the leads are unlikable, and I just did not care about them. And I feel like you have to at least care about the leads in some way or the other. You can either hate them or love them, but I just didn't care. So it wasn't a fun read for me. It's ranked higher than other books, which means I think probably at the time of reading this, I might have laughed out loud at some jokes, but I don't remember a lot of what happened in this book, and truly I'm fine with that. The next book in this category is One Last Shot by Betty Coyote. I love her. She is a book Instagrammer, bookgram, whatever. I found a lot of books through her, and I really like her. I think she articulates things well. However, this is her debut novel, and I really, really wanted to like this book, but it took me so long to get through it. I'm the kind of person who finishes books in a day. For me to take a month to get through this book, I must have really not liked it. I bought it online, read it online. It felt like a chore that I had to get through so I wanted to read it because it was her, but I did not have good time. Another thing that this book had absolutely no nuance and respect for the more sensitive topic, and it just kind of brushed past it, which I understand that she wanted it to seem like this is just something she lives with, but it still needs to be handled with nuance and respect, which I don't think it was, but that's just my opinion. I don't think this was executed properly. It has a cute premise, but it could have been executed a lot better. The next book in this was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I don't need to explain the concept of this book to you. You know what it is. This book was so annoying. The characters were annoying. It's about two co-workers who hate each other but are secretly obsessed with each other, and there's nothing fun in this. They're both annoying. I don't care. This is one of the instances where I thought the movie handled the book a lot better than the book did, because I think the fact that Lucy Hale was in it obviously would make it better, but I had a great time in the movie. The next book in this is The One by John Mars. It's not the worst thing ever. Okay, it's a thriller. It's a book where somebody finds the gene that matches you to your soulmate, and there's a lot of different POVs. It's kind of like Love Actually, where there's a lot of different POVs, and they don't merge at the end. They just sort of have their own endings. I felt like there was a lot of context switching every time you switch POVs, because you had to constantly remember, and there were more than two or three timelines going on. It was just very convoluted, very long. So what I do think I did like about this book is that it holds your interest. I watched the TV show. I like that more. I like the sort of dark story of the main character and that a lot more. I think you really have to work hard to keep track of everyone in this book, which is like, use your brains, not that hard. I get it. The premise of the book falls apart very fast if you start thinking about it for more than 5 minutes. The next book in this category is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Now, when I found out about Ali Hazelwood, I found out about Love Hypothesis, but I I didn't buy it just yet, and one day I was in a bookstore and I saw this. So I bought it. I'm very, very disappointed. I have read quite a lot of what she's done, and I think this is the worst of them all. I like the guest appearance by Olive and Adam, but I didn't really get it because I read this one before I read The Love Hypothesis. So I mean, I appreciate it a lot more now. For this to be a worst book, it's not a it's not a bad thing. Next book in this category is The Silent Patient. I know, and I might have to defend this. So, The Silent Patient is about a woman who stops speaking after she kills her husband and is submitted to a mental asylum where she just refuses to talk until a psychiatrist comes by and sort of breaks her. You know, this is a thriller and mystery, so there's gonna be a plot twist at the end. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. It's so stupid. The second you start thinking about this book, it falls apart. It doesn't make sense. The motivations, the second you find out the twist, the motivation of each of the characters do not make sense except for Alicia. The Greek mythology thing feels rushed into and just there to make it seem like the book is saying something that it's not, like to make it seem like the book is smarter than it is, and I don't like that. I would not recommend it. I mean, I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but I think I rank a book based on its rereadability, and I don't think this has any readability. Again, you want to go back and read a plot twist and go, oh, those were the signs and clues. Next book in this category, this is a big category, good lord, is Happy Place. Listen. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. I don't want to hear anything. This is her worst book. This is her worst book. I think most of the romances that I've listed up to now have some sort of miscommunication in them. This is the worst offender of them all because I know Emily Henry can write so much better. She has books in upcoming categories that are where they deserve to be. There are books in the 5 stars, but this second I found out what the miscommunication was about, I was like, no, I'm done. I don't want to read this. I'm simply not interested because it was so stupid and it made me hate the main character so much. I want to say there were good parts, but I really can't remember any. So I know Emily Henry has so much more potential, and that is why I was so disappointed by this. I think a lot of her books suffer from having been read after her best one that I read, which will come much later. I'm upset. I really wanted to like this book. I love Emily Henry. I just can't. Next book in this category is Jillian by Hallie Butler. I don't think I like contemporary lit fic books. I enjoyed this book up till a certain point, but I think it took its concept too much to the extreme. So this book is about a main character Megan who has this really annoying coworker called Jillian. I liked it in the beginning. I liked it. I like the sink scene where she cuts open herself with a pair of scissors. Oh god, it's so funny. It's really funny. And this is during a phase in this year where I was trying to read books chapter by chapter and have like sort of breaks so I don't completely get my hit of dopamine at one go where I have to read an entire book. So mm, I think this is a book that needs to be read in one sitting, and I think that's on me. Fair enough. I just kept waiting for the characters to get like comeuppance at the end or something like for something more to happen in the climax, and I just didn't get it. Not with Jillian, not with Megan, and that's what didn't work for me. You know, there was no first act, second act, third act, and I really do enjoy books that are structured. So I didn't. It's not a bad book. It's very well written. That's why it's at the top of this section. I've heard like better recommendations for her other book, which is The New Me. I look forward to reading it next year. It's just this book was very much not for me. We are now in the very demure, very mindful category, and this is like the meh. I have 10 books in this category, and I think those are the ones that will speed through the most because this is the tier with the most romances. So the first book at the very bottom in this is Make a Wish. This is a part of the Spark House trilogy. I picked this up at an airport. I did not know it was a part of a trilogy. It didn't say that anywhere on the cover. I do like the cover though. It's very cute. Love this font. So yeah, I think this is exactly what it needed to be. It's a cute, comfy airport read. This has a similar concept to The Nanny that I spoke about. It's about a nanny and a father getting together. It made me care about the characters. The child wasn't annoying in this, and I think that really made me enjoy this book a lot more than The Nanny. I think this had better characters, better characterizations. I read this in one plane ride. So this is exactly what it needed to be. Where was I going? Wait, I have my boarding pass. Okay, so I was going home. I can't show you the boarding pass. I can show you the back. It doesn't read like it's continuing from anything. I think you can read these books as standalones. However, having known how the first two end in this book, I'm not really that interested in reading the first two anymore. I don't think I'm missing out on anything. I enjoyed it. All of these books in this category from now on, I've enjoyed, like genuinely enjoyed. I don't hate any book, this book onwards. So, this is going to be a very positive part of the video. The next book is Under One Roof. Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood. Under One Roof is definitely better than Love Theoretically because the main characters aren't annoying. They're very likable. In fact, the main lead is very charming. The guy is also charming. I think the only thing that sets this book back is that they reveal what happens at the end in the beginning of the book, and I didn't enjoy that. I like things that circle back, but you can't reveal your main plot in the first few sentences of the book. It's a comfort read, it's a cozy read, it does exactly what it needs to do and doesn't do anything more than that, which is perfectly fine. The next book I read is Con Artist by Tiffany Andrea. I had such a good time reading this. It's a story about a police officer who goes undercover to arrest an art thief. I enjoyed this book. I'm into art. She didn't talk a lot about the actual art thief part of it. I did enjoy it. However, I can sum up this book and my thoughts on this book in two sentences. One, Archie is terrible at his job and very annoying. Georgia, I love you. Run. Run away. Next. Oh, the next book is Just Haven't Met You Yet by Sophie Cousins. I had such a good time in this book. The main character, Laura, is obviously very bad at her job, kind of a klutz, but one of the best leads. And Ted, who's the other character, was also a lot of fun, very, very adorable, and I enjoyed. I ate it up. Nom 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 nom. This is what I want from a novel, and this absolutely delivered it. I had such a good time reading this. The next book is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood again. I can't tell you what this book is about. I don't know. I think it's about an experiment in NASA, but all I think about when I remember this book is I had such a good time reading it. Such cozy vibes. If you want a one off book that you just want to read and have a good time, this is it. Ali Hazelwood is really good at writing these tropes. Cozy cannot tell you what happened for the life of me. I think there's a cat. Love the cat. Ask me, beg me for the name of the main characters. I have no idea. Next book in this category is Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder. It was a fun book to read. So it's about these two actors who were in a TV show together and they dated then and then they broke up and then the lead moved on to other things. Very Nina Dobrev, Ian Somerhalder inspired from Vampire Diaries, where the lead goes away and then comes back for a reunion. I'm not saying Nina Dobrev, but like seems inspired by that. And yeah, there isn't much to say either negative or positive about this book. It knew exactly what it wanted to be, it delivered on that, and it's a great time, cozy read, fun vibes. People we meet on vacation. Okay, people, the next book in this category is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I think Emily Henry writes enemies to lovers a lot better than she writes friends to lovers. I didn't hate this book. I do think it's weaker compared to her other incredibly good ones. Again, this book is only so low because I know the potential of Emily Henry and I know how good she can write, that this just sort of falls flat. It just felt very like the temperature setting just added a layer of discomfort that I did not like in this book. But other than that, can't wait for the movie. I'm very excited to see it. It's got, sorry, two incredible actors. This one we're going to talk about soon. I'm really excited to see the movie. I like the book. I don't hate it. It's just, oh, it's not the level that I wanted from her. However, this is ranked higher because I did not read it after her magnum opus. So it it gets grace. The next book is In a New York Minute. Oh, I love this book. It's so cute. I find it so rare that in a book I just enjoyed everything. I enjoy the main characters, I enjoy the side characters, and every single character gets what they deserve. There are no bad characters in this. I think I enjoyed every single one of them. It's about a woman who is having a really bad day. She gets fired from her job and then she rips her dress and then borrows jacket from someone in the New York subway. The setting is beautiful. It I think it really gets the setting that it's in. So that's really nice to read. And there's not a lot of convoluted reasons for things to happen. They just sort of fall into place, and it's funny and it's interesting, and it's just a good time. I had a really good time reading this book. I think I would recommend. Let's get to the rave. Let's talk about the next book in this category is Before We Forget Kindness by Kawaguchi Toshikazu. I love this book so much. Listen, this is the fifth book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold installment. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a series about a cafe in Japan where people can travel back in time. I had a big gap. I didn't know this book existed. I have like the other four. I got them as a set, but I didn't know this book existed till I went to write the review for the first book, and then it took a while to get delivered. Oh my god, I love this book. I think having a gap between the first four books and this book really helped. I think the fact that I already knew these characters and I got to come back to them after a while just felt like a really warm hug. I don't think the individual stories in this, which were a father who didn't want his daughter to get married, a woman who didn't give Valentine's chocolates, a boy who wanted to show his smile to his divorced parents, and a widow holding a child with no name. They were all like really cute, heartwarming stories and sort of sad at the same time, but these stories didn't speak to me personally, so I think that is why this is at the bottom, but it still felt like a warm hug and I still love this book. I would still 100% go back to it, read it again, and I think every single time I do it would mean more to me. But like I had to read the stories that were in here off the back cover because I could not for the life of me remember what happened. I remember the feeling of reading this and it's a warm hug. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say 10 out of 10, but it was more like a 3 out of 5. The last book in this category, the top book in this category, is Before the Coffee Gets Cold Tales from the Cafe. This is the second book in this installment. I moved on to this immediately because I wanted more. I wanted more. It really cemented Kazu as my favorite character in the whole series. Again, it's the same thing of the individual stories in this did not really hit the way it was supposed to hit. I don't think I related to the individual stories in this at all. They're just so well written, and each story is written with such care and love that you can't not love the series. Cozy vibes all around, loved revisiting these characters. Kazu, Queen, love her. I also really like that Fumiko was still here. So, Fumiko is a character in the first book who we'll talk about it when we come to the first book, but yeah, I'm really happy she's still around, and she's still around till like the last book. So I don't think I can really separate these books from each other. I feel like if I want to talk about these books, I have to talk about all of them because of how intertwined they are. If I have to rank them, then this one is fourth. Like the fifth book ranked fifth, the second book ranked fourth. However, the ones we get to will get to, and I think this tops off this category really well. I think it's just gonna be raves from now on because the top two categories are books that I love. Welcome to the second highest category, Taylor Swift praying at the Chiefs game. I'm so excited for this. At the bottom, we have Ali Hazelwood. So this is the highest Ali Hazelwood ranking, and it's the Love Hypothesis. You know what you're getting into. This is a Raylo fanfiction published with the serial numbers filed off, which means you just sort of remove any connection to the original material that it's a fanfiction of. So any connection to Star Wars has been removed other than naming the main character Adam. Baller move. I did not expect to like and or love this book as much as I did. I have such a good time reading this. I think it's the best thing she's ever written. I think she's done a great job filing off the serial numbers because I, for the life of me, cannot tell who the other characters are. I mean, if I really sit down to think about it, I'll figure it out. But I don't care. I don't want to. These are new characters to me. I did read a love theoretically before this, so this book, oh, I blame this book so much because this did discourage me from reading the Love Hypothesis for as long as it did. But power through, had a blast. The next book in this category, we're back to Emily Henry. It's the funny story. God, this was so enjoyable. The only reason this book is in 5 stars is because she's fighting against herself for me. Let's talk about things I liked first. The main characters: Miles, Daphne, Love. Very cute, very fun characters, very fun setting. Should I tell you about the story first? Okay, so this book is about a girl who moves to a different town with a fiance, but the fiance breaks the marriage to be with his girl best friend, who breaks her marriage to be with him, and now there are two fiancés that used to be fiancés of the friends who are now forced into the situation together. What a plot, what a premise. I don't think I did a great job explaining that at all. I am not proud of myself. The cover is so cute. It's also one of those books that sort of circle back to the first moment, and I think it does it in such a cute way. It's such a cute book. I had so much fun. I adore the main characters. What I did not like, however, about this book is the conflict with Ashley. I thought it was very unnecessary. The whole father thing, I understand why it was there for the plot, but I don't care. And Petra and Peter, who are the friends, are the catalyst. And for catalyst of this whole book, they were surprisingly one note and had absolutely no character to them. But again, it's Emily Henry. She's only competing against herself. I had a great time in this book. Miles and Daphne, loves of my life. The next book, you know who it's by. It's Emily Henry again. Oh, beach read. It's beach read. I think this book was overhyped for me. Everybody called it, oh, this is Emily Henry's best book. She's never written anything as good as this. She has. Yes, she has. Yes, she has. And it's in the top category. I really enjoyed Beach Read. I think it was a great book. I do really enjoy reading about people who are good at what they do and then they speak about it. So this is a story about two authors sort of move next to each other and then challenge each other to write a book in each other's styles. I really enjoyed reading like the whole publishing side of it. I think that was a great place to set it. There isn't much that could go wrong here. It's a great read. It's a beach read. Okay, this is a very heavy book to put after a beach read, but it's Jeanette McCurdy's autobiography titled I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is everywhere. I don't need to, this is the story of Jeanette McCurdy and her life. And this book is not news to anyone. You know what this is about. This is a tale of growing up in the film industry. I wasn't an iCarly fan. I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of iCarly. So it's very, as a piece of literature though, she has such a great voice in the way that she's written it in such a way that it feels like a diary entry. So when she's in her childhood, it reads very much like a child growing up as in to where she is as an adult now. I think it's a very interesting read. It has a lot of, oh my god, trigger warning. There is so much sensitive information in here, and it's so sad to read. I'm not a person who likes to read nonfiction. I only read this because I used to watch Victorious and I watched a lot of YouTube videos about the creator, I guess. There's not much you can say about this. It's very well written. It's very sad. It's very triggering. So please be careful if you want to read this. But I mean, very few people have really great storytelling instincts, and you can just tell that she knows how to tell a story because it's so well done. Okay, what a twist we're going to now. Okay, the next book is a ballad of songbirds and snakes. I reread the Hunger Games. I was there for the Hunger Game Renaissance. I was there when Hunger Games first came out. I read Hunger Games before it was the movies. So this is not a new concept to me. Do I really need to explain this book? Let me just do it. This is the story told from the point of view of the fascist president in the Hunger Games. So this is President Snow's origin story. Oh my god, Suzanne Collins does such an incredible job writing villains. She is so good at getting into the psyche. It was so much fun reading him have absolutely no presence of mind, absolutely no idea on how he's ruining people's lives. I was not able to see this movie in the theater because I had not yet found a copy of this book and I wanted to read the book first. I think both of them have done a really good job telling the story. I think the movie obviously needed to cut down a lot of things, but what is it about Hunger Game movies being absolutely perfect? I think it was very loyal adaptation of the book, and I think obviously the movie can't be in first person point of view, so it had to change a lot of things, which I think it did really well. My favorite character was the evil game master. Where do I have another boarding pass here? Oh, Sejanus, what a character! The actor, he had this scene in the movie which was just, you're monsters, all of you. Oh, Excellent. It was such a good scene. What a great actor. And that other guy and the other actor, um, oh, from District 11, what was his name? This guy. Thresh? No, that's that's not Thresh. Okay, this guy. The scene where he covers up the bodies with the flag and then goes, "How are you gonna punish me now?" Oh my god, excellent. What an actor, 10 out of 10. Cast him in 500 more things. Also, President's Snow. In this book, as well as the movie, I think it's very well done what the monologue of a truly crazy person could be. He is so good. Fantastic actor. That's why I'm so excited for the people we meet on vacation movie because this guy is so good at character work. He is very emotive and you can't make a movie in first person, but he made you feel like it did. I don't know why this is not in the top category. Why is this not in the top category? 10 out of 10. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all begins before the coffee gets cold. By Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I am butchering this name. I don't know how to pronounce. So this is where it all started. One of the best first books I've read. I just came off of Hunger Games, right? And that is such a great first book edition. I think this is in the same category. It sets up everything so beautifully. I want to be in this cafe. I love that. I love Fumiko, who is the character we're in the point of view of when this book starts. I'm really happy that we get introduced to this environment through her, and I think that was a really good decision for me personally because I really enjoy that character. I think she's amazing. Something I didn't like when I first finished this book is how the women in it always seem to be in service of other people, and that is something I did read in a lot of places. However, when I thought more about it, I was like, I am only thinking of Kazu and Kai. But that's not true. Fumiko is a whole character and she's not in service of anybody. She's just there to chill and get her life together and see where she went wrong. I'm so sad this says, I think that's the sixth book that hasn't been translated to English yet or whatever language. Just, I want to read it. The next book in this category is the Kamogawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai. So I this is a fully judged a book by its cover situation because look how cute this is, and I'm allowed to judge a book by its cover. I am a graphic designer and I should. That's my job. This is such a good book. This book, okay. So how do I explain it to you? This book isn't very concerned with the characters or keeping a running plot as much as it's concerned about creating a feeling. And I think it achieves that very well. I think it's so good at creating a feeling. It's so heartwarming. The father-daughter duo that run the restaurant are so cute. The only reason you'll feel that it's similar to the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series is because I'm speaking about these back to back. They're not similar because the Coffee Gets Cold is all about time traveling and how things don't really change. This is about the future in a lot more ways. So it's about recreating a memory from the past through food to move on to the future. So what the premise of this book is that people come to a restaurant where they bring a dish that they probably had in the past or the person who made the dish is no longer, and the father and daughter sort of find the recipe and remake it and feed it to the person. There's no supernatural element in this, and I think that just makes it so comforting and makes me feel like if that was a restaurant I would definitely go to it. I wish I could create this restaurant, but I'm not a great cook. But you know what this author did? Cooked. Honestly, the entire time you're reading this, you're like, yeah, let them cook. I think the focus on the food and its relationship with the visiting characters is the heart and soul of this book. And food, yeah, it's in the title. This story is a lot more interested in the food and how that creates a relationship to you and to everyone around you. If that is triggering to you, then this is not the book for you. But it's about food as a memory and not anything else, as comfort and as memory. The characters felt grounded, they felt like people that could really exist and have these specific motivations. My favorite story was about the rich guy who hated his stepmother and found out that all she wanted was him to succeed. And it made me cry. I think that was my favorite story here. It made me miss my mom. A Song for the Wild Bird. I have spoken about this book before on this channel actually. I have 4 videos and one of them is just talking about this book series. So if you want like more detailed review of this, please watch that. But A Song for the Wild Bird by Becky Chambers. This is a story about a monk and a robot. This is an alternate future where the earth has been destroyed and they made robots to like do all the work, but the robots gained sentience and they decided they didn't want to live with humans anymore and be slaves. The only reason this is not in the top category is because I prefer everything except the setting in the second book. I love the setting of this book. I think it sets up the universe beautifully. I enjoy the robot a lot more than I enjoy the monk. And the robot is the protagonist of the next book, so I think that's why I enjoy it a lot more. I'm a lot more interested in his story than I am in this because you hear a lot about humans going to the nature to connect with spirituality and stuff, and that's what a lot of what this book was. What I said about first books that are really good at setting up and instantly making you fall in love with the characters, I don't think this achieved that quite as beautifully as the other ones did, but oh my god, the setting of this book is so beautiful. I want to be in monasteries and just walk and do nothing, connect with spirituality. That's what I want to do. So next book I don't have a hard copy of, but because it's with my aunt, but it's The Thursday Murder Club. This is a story about 4 friends who are in their 80s in an old age home and they get together and solve murders in the Thursday Murder Club. And they have friends in the police department called Chris and Donna. Love them. It's such a beautiful depiction of how life doesn't end when you get old. Like you can still have adventures no matter what age you are. I had such like warm feelings of reading this book, and as I get older it truly is comforting to read a book where 80-year-olds are having adventures. Another thing I did was I realized in this book that I always tend to relate to secondary characters because I don't think or value myself enough to relate to the main character. I feel like I would never be that cool. However, I want to be Elizabeth. When I was younger, I would have chosen Joyce, but I think I have a lot more faith in myself now and I want to be Elizabeth. I know I'm not a spy in MI5, but I want to be Elizabeth. I love Joyce. I'm not putting her down. She's equally part of the main character and a lot of the book is her point of view. The top book in this category is Before Your Memory Fades. This is the third book in the series. Oh my god. This book stands out the most in terms of the fact that it is the only one that's set in a different place than our cafe. We are in a seaside town and it's described so beautifully that I want to live there. It felt like I could feel the sea waves on my face. I love this book. I think there's only one book I like more than this and I absolutely love it. I think it's a beautiful conclusion to the story that was started in book 1. If you know, you know. I won't spoil it because honestly, how would you even start to describe what goes on? I wouldn't say that I related a lot to this book, but and that is what rated the other two so low. The ones in the very demure section. I think that's the only thing that rated those so low is that I didn't really relate to the stories. And I agree with that here. But it gave closure to the story from book 1 and it's set in such a beautiful setting that it shut up. It's up here. The story is sadder in this. I cried. 10 out of 10. Does crying automatically shoot up a book? Yeah. It does. I love the character who pours the coffee in this. She is so sweet, and I think the fact that I said who my favorite character in the series is, you'll understand why I love the person who pours the coffee in this. If you read this book, if you haven't, highly recommend this series. And that's the end of this category. I am very happy that we ended this 6 books in this category. I thought I read a lot more books, but that was just because they were rereads, and I just wanted to do new books for this. So we're here at Enchanted Fireworks. The fact that I never saw the Era store will forever haunt me. We're starting off with Taylor Jenkins Reid, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is a very TikTok book, it's a very booktuber book, it's a bookgram book. I don't care. It's the best. It's such a beautiful tale, and it's about an actress in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s in like an alternate universe in Hollywood. and it's about her 7 husbands. I thought this would be similar to the 7 husbands of Susanna Sat Khun Maaf. If you know, you know. I thought this was gonna be along those lines. Boy, was I wrong. I'm not gonna give away what this book is. I think this is a book you need to read. It says a lot of things, it has a lot of quotes that I really hold dear. I love the main characters in this. I love Evelyn, I love Monique. Who's my favorite husband? Probably Rex North. I would say Rex North, but if you have favorite husbands in this, let me know. I can't properly say why I love this book without giving it away. Okay, sometimes it feels like why is Monique a part of the story, but boy, that twist, oh god. I cannot say anything about this book without giving it away. I love this book. It blows you away. It keeps the plot twist coming. At no point do you know where this book is going next, even if you do. It's rereadable. And you know what? This is the thing about a good plot twist. This is the thing about a good plot twist. You understand? Is that when you reread it, you still enjoy reading it. The twist doesn't take out the joy of the thrill of reading for the first time. So read this book. Is this the top romance of the year? Yes! The top romance of 2024 for me is not a book released in 2024, but it is Emily Henry! To me, this book is her magnum opus. This is everything I wanted in a book. The characters are likable, the story is likable, nothing happens for too many reasons. The side characters are interesting, not all of them are good, not all of them are bad. They're goofy and fun enough and interesting and gripping enough to keep you reading. When is this becoming a movie? Because I have very specific expectations on what I want the cast to look like. I don't think anything would make me happy. I really care about these two characters so much. Book lovers, romance of the year, 10 out of 10. Also, how cute is this cover? I don't know when they do that in the book, but it's nice. The colors are lovely. It would make a horrible brand palette, but yeah, you can pick one or two for your primary colors. That would look so nice. This, I have no words. Best. Emily Henry, magnum opus. She has another book coming out. I'm so excited. I don't think I've annotated a book this much. I really got into annotating this book because there's so much in this that I want to remember. So many quotes in this that really spoke to me. I like everything in this book. I like the main character who is the robot. The robot's reading the story, and it's the robot's story of finding a connection to humanity again. So the whole scene where the robot has a part that sort of malfunctions and it doesn't really properly get fixed, so it's kind of like the robot's evolving. This book really made me think about life and existence on earth in a way that others really didn't. Like the first one didn't as much, because the story of a human looking for spirituality in nature is very common, but a robot looking for humanity in the future is just, well, that's the nice thing about trees. They're not going anywhere. You can take all the time you need to get to know them. And this is said in response to really get to know people, because they're constantly moving and you have very few time with them. But that's not the same for trees, because you can take forever to get to know them, because trees aren't going anywhere. I feel like I get very speechless when it comes to things I really love. And this is a book that I really loved. Also, this cover is so pretty. I think the cover for both of these are excellent. But again, I like the cover for this a lot more. I like the name, A Prayer for the Crown Shy, a lot more. I like the explanation what a crown shy is. The Superior book. Yeah, this was a phase. Annotating was a real phase for me. Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. I have the sequel for this. I did not know there was a sequel for this. I am currently reading the sequel for this. This is a story about a young girl who loses her job and everything else, her partner in life, and moves to an old neighborhood full of bookstores with her uncle, her mama.
learns life lessons from him as he learns life lessons from her, and they both sort of go through life together. This is such a beautiful tale. It's not trying to tell you something crazy, it's just trying to tell you a story of life and healing, books, and it's so lovely. I wrote something about it that I want to read out, and it's that nothing happens in this book. No plot, just the haunting realization of life, which is dumb. Life on earth is dumb, but this book makes it feel like there is meaning in it. Even if you touch the hearts of two people in your life, it's enough. Anything that we do, even things we have no control over, but we do anyway, like being born, has effect on people's life. This book really makes you believe in life. I also love this cover. What is it about Japanese books and the cover? A beautiful book, very short book. It was a breeze to read. It was an absolute breeze. Yeah, 147 pages, an absolute breeze to read. Huge thank you to this book. I don't know what, I haven't started on more days at the Morisaki bookshop yet, but I feel like this is a very contained story in itself. So I'm very excited to see, because I do want to spend more time with those characters. However, I would not have been sad if this was the only book, but I'm very excited to have more content. The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. This is the second installment of the Thursday Murder Club. I have all 4 books, but I've only managed to read the first 2. The second 2 I have filed away for next year because I'm not going to force myself to read. I enjoyed this book a lot more than the first one, which is pretty obvious from where it's ranked. Every single plot twist in this was great. I do enjoy that aspect of both of these books, is that I didn't really try to apply my mind and figure out who the killer is. I think like this does such a good job at sort of reverting your expectations. No, what is it? What is reverting your expectations? No, breaking your expectations. I think this is such a beautiful story, again, of the 4 people. I know the characters a lot more better in this book because I've gone through an entire book with them. I think it set it up really great. I know these people so well, and I really appreciate the 4 characters. I really appreciate the bond between them, how important they all seem to each other, no matter like how unlikely it may be. And they could have so easily pushed each other to a side. Like Elizabeth could have very easily pushed Joyce to a side, but she didn't. She values her. And it's just like 2 old ladies valuing each other and committing to friendship with each other after they've lived full lives and had life experiences. There's no experience these guys haven't had, yet they find new things to experience, and that is just so refreshing, and I stand by it. I can't wait for the 3rd book. It's right over there. This is the bullet that missed. I'm very excited to read it. None of these books are really ranked in this category, but I do believe that this book was my top book of 2024. It's Before We Say Goodbye. I saw a lot of people review this book. This didn't need to exist, because the story was pretty well wrapped up in Before Your Memory Fades. But I think each of these stories had the most impact on me. Every single one of these stories had the most impact on me. I love this book. And the whole concept. Okay, so let's really talk about this series, which just wants you to think about what would you say if you could go back in time. I wish I could put them all here, but I can't. And I don't want to, because this book deserves the number 1 spot. You get a coffee, and you have until the coffee gets cold to go back in time and talk to someone. Going back in time and talking to someone will not change the present or the future in any way. However, it will change the fact that you still had that conversation. Nothing physically or timeline wise will change. Nothing tangible will change except your emotions. Emotionally, you would have been better. Emotionally, you would have had that conversation. Emotionally, everything would make sense. If you could go back in time, who would you speak to? What would you say? Despite knowing the fact that it would not change anything, and you have about 5 to 10 minutes, is that conversation really so important that it could change you or the person you're talking to forever. Profound, very, very lovely questions, very lovely stories. Kazu's story and the story of the woman who sits in the chair. It's sad and it hurts every time, especially because Kazu is my favorite character. The last story in this, I felt like was a more fitting conclusion to this series. That was before I knew this existed, and I think a reason why this ranks so low for me is because I was very happy to say goodbye. This book had a lot more stories that focus on closure, and I really enjoy reading about it. I wanted to annotate, trust me, I sat with my little chips and flags and my post-its to annotate this book, but I was so deeply mesmerized by everything that was going on in this book that I just felt like I do not have time. I think this was a perfect summation of everything good from the first three books except for the setting in the third book. If I had to pick a top book of 2024 for me, Before We Say Goodbye. And that's me to this year. Before we say goodbye, this video. Nothing is without risk. Do not let the coffee get cold. Can't wait for the next book in this series. And that was my list of all the books I read this year. I would like to give a special mention, which is Come Home to You by Ayushi Shah. I'm biased. I know the person who wrote this book. It's a romance and it's about a girl who loses her memory of 10 years when she gets into an accident and has to learn what her life is like now, and sort of she's living her dream life and she just has to sort of ease back into it, and it has the challenge of what's real and what's not. It's such a sweet story. I generally can't rank it anywhere because it's such a personal story, and I know the main characters in this who are very, very dear friends of mine. So I'm very happy to recommend this. Ayushi, if you're watching this, it's waiting for your signature. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're still here after all of these books, I had a really good time ranking them all. Top 6 books of this year. I wish to do YouTube more frequently, so let's see where this goes, and I will try and continue to post and create and read. Hopefully I can come up with some fun ways to do book content in the future. But if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I had a lovely time. I hope you did too. I hope some of these recommendations made you feel happy, and even if I added one book to your TBR, this is a success. This is a success for me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.